After e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4 and f5, in this video we're going to go through d4, and as we know, as seen in the previous videos, we have to take the pawn in e4, and after knight takes back in e5, now black continues with b5. So now this video's topic is going to be bishop to b5 with a double attack on the knight. So there's more pressure on the knight. What to do now? The move to continue here is queen to d6. And there's absolutely nothing to worry. If white actually does all the trades, then taking back with the pawn here is a fantastic position for black to play. It's a great center. So we're going to look at this idea, bishop to f4. Putting the bishop in the same diagonal of the queen. This is looking very scary. However, black simply plays a6. This is the move to continue now. You've got nothing to worry. Let's make an example. You might be looking at knight takes c6 with a discover check threat, whilst the bishop attacks the queen, and one of our pieces was taken. Here you simply take the bishop in f4 without worrying about anything. You got two pieces here hanging. That means you've recaptured the piece and you're about to win a piece. And even though it looks like white can, make a discover check, but it's a completely harmless discover check. Whatever white does with the knight, there is no actual attack that the white knight can do. Therefore, just take the bishop. So that means you're winning a piece. What happens if the bishop goes back to a4? It looks like, well, obviously you can't take the knight now, because then bishop takes back. We'll take this. We'll check the king and then take the rook. So now you just play bishop to d7 and you're winning. You're winning the piece. Whenever the knight moves, you're winning the bishop. If the knight doesn't move, you're winning the knight. So in this position, after the queen has just captured the bishop in f4, what happens if white continues with the main line, which is still wrong, but you have to know what to do. If you know what to do, you're gonna win the game because you're up a piece. Queen h5 check. Best move is g6. Queen takes the pawn in d5. It's really annoying because it's threatening this move. So at the moment you can't take this, you can't take this. You have to play bishop to d6 to stop the infiltration of the queen here. It's too dangerous, too strong, and it's gonna lead to checkmate most probably. So white now playing best moves according to the engine, knight e5, but there's still nothing. Take the bishop because that's what's gonna happen inevitably. And after white's best move, knight c3, doubling the attack on the pawn in e4, knight to f6, attacking the queen, and after queen takes, check, c6. That's it, you're winning the game. White can try one more thing in this incredible, crazy line, which is knight takes c6, right? It is crazy. Obviously, you can't take back because then the queen will be coming with the fork, so you just castle now, and that's it. That's going to be it. You're going to win the knight. If white moved the knight back, then knight to g4. And we have triple pressure over the square f2. We're going to be taking that and winning the game. Swapping is pointless. Or let's say, for instance, white gives a check, just play king h8. There's nothing. If white plays obviously white can't castle because then queen h2 is mate. f3, he just play queen e3 and you take it from there. The knight is going to jump to f2 unless white wants to be checkmated. And in case if white takes the knight, which seems to be making sense, bishop takes back. You are renewing the threat on h2, so that means white can't castle. White also cannot castle the queen side either. And if white gets defensive, I play queen to f1. Black simply plays rook 8 to c8. The idea is to put more pressure on the knight with bishop to b4, and take the knight with the rook in c3, and then play bishop to b4. Checkmate. If a3 to stop that, well then simply take. And the rook can't take back because then you've got the possibility to infiltrate with a checkmate after swapping the knight. If pawn takes back, then your rook can take it. And yeah, position evaluated -10 or something. So clearly that line didn't work. So let's see if white can achieve something more with a more serious line. f5, d4, okay. Knight takes, d5. Now, bishop b5, more attack with the knight, queen d6. And after bishop to f4, we say we attack the bishop immediately. So after bishop to a4, what to do now? Black goes on with knight to f6, ignoring this diagonal because it's not really a problem. It looks scary, but it's nothing to worry. Remember, a move like knight to g6 seems like it makes sense because the knight is defending the bishop and it's also attacking the rook. The queen will have to move away, can't take the bishop because of the knight, and when the queen moves, it looks like the knight can take the rook. But here you get out of problems with playing queen to b4 check. And we are going to win the knight, so there's nothing to worry. If white blocks with the knight, remember, you're attacking this knight, you're taking it for free. If white takes the pawn to c3 with an attack on the queen, here we can't take the knight yet because we got to prioritize our queen, but queen to b2 attacking the rook. And now If the knight moves to d2, this queen is not going to get trapped. There's no poison pawns or something you can take in c3. There's absolutely nothing. But first of all, obviously take the knight. You're up a piece. If instead white doesn't develop this knight and simply plays knight here to h8, black plays b5. This knight is trapped, by the way, can't move anywhere. So we are going to take the rook in a1 soon enough, and then the knight will be taken. To be even more accurate here, white's best move, okay, here, remember, if white saves the bishop, then you can take the rook. You're both lost a rook, both white and black, but this knight will be taken. It's trapped. So if white tries to save the material, how to react? Knight to d2. This rook is now protected. Now we take the bishop. And we're still done in material. We've done the exchange if you think about it. However, you'll see how it goes on. Rook to b1, you take the pawn in a2, it's not poisoned, and these pawns might be becoming dangerous. Bishop takes e7, these are all best moves for white in a faulty variation. Bishop to g4, attacking the queen. The queen will have to move. Obviously, f3 loses to e3. The knight can't move anywhere, otherwise queen to f2 will be checkmate. Unless white goes to e4, but then after taking the knight, then you're renewing the threat over f2. If white takes the bishop instead, then take the knight with check. The queen can't take because queen takes rook. So after king moves, let's say king e2, whatever, black will play knight e4, protecting this pawn even further. Threatening knight c3, it's a disaster. Black will always be able to play king to d7 with an attack on the bishop and put the rook on the e file with an attack. Position evaluated -6, meaning that the white player will have to give up a lot of material if he doesn't want to get checkmated, and will have to think a lot just to lose this game eventually anyway. So in this position, after bishop g4, queen to c1, okay, bishop to a3, attack the queen. And when the queen's got nowhere to go, by the way, so after rook to a1, counter-attacking, queen to b2, and this is beautiful, because the queen can't move anywhere. I mean, the queen can't avoid the swap. But whenever the queen swaps with us, you're going to take back the bishop, it's going to be a fork, you're going to attack the rook and this pawn. So after queen to b1, rook to c8 attacking the bishop. And again, queen taking here is not convenient for white because you take back and it comes with a fork. And yes, the white player might just ignore that and keep going on the open file, but we're also attacking this bishop. So what happens at the bishop to g3? Black simply picks up this pawn. This is a free pawn, there's no compensation at all. Besides, this pawn is going to fall, you got the knight coming here. The white player can't castle because he loses the knight. So let's go back and move. Instead of bishop g3, what happens after bishop f4? Defending the knight so that the white player might try to castle. Okay, still take this pawn. Castle and knight to d4. There are no compensation. Black is completely winning.